you're not gonna be ready and like chipper to go work out every day. But every single time you're in that mental headspace and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk, or you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym, or I'm gonna like, work out for a little bit, your mood changes.
All right. Welcome back to the 1% Better podcast. Today, we have an incredible guest on, a powerhouse in the fitness world who has built multiple thriving fitness businesses, mastered the art of discipline, and balances it all while raising a family, staying motivated, and inspiring others on a daily basis. Shoshana, welcome to the 1% Better podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, where I want to start with things, really the foundation, fitness and health journey, really what sparked you to turn this into a career, and when did you realize you could turn it into a career with fitness and your ambition with it?
So, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time for little boys, and my whole life was based around my family, which is phenomenal. But I found myself, feeling a little lost and lacking that sense of identity. And, I started taking hot yoga classes at a local studio, and I just started moving my body. And like that just kind of like gave me just an hour out of even just the week that I could focus on myself. And during that time, I met a lady who was going to open up a spin studio, and her and I hit it off. And she's like, would you want to like work the front desk? And I was like, great. I could like earn a little bit extra cash for the family. It gets me out of the house. It's something just for me. I can meet other people. Anyway, I started working there, and it was a spin studio, and she kind of encouraged me to start teaching because I really found a love for spin, indoor cycling. And so I didn't think I could do it. I was like, I don't think I could like teach group classes. Like, I could work out, but I don't think anyway. She, she pushed me to do it. And I found this new love, passion for teaching, for instructing, for motivating people. And that was like back in like 2012, 2013. And that's when I started instructing. And so I was there for a little while, and I just was kind of seeking something more for myself. And I decided to leave. The environment no longer suited me, and I wanted to do something for myself that was greater and bigger. And so I decided to leave. And a few instructors at that studio were friends of mine, and the three of us, decided to open up our own studio. So in 2015, we opened up Soul Beat Spin and Bar Studio, where we had, spin and bar classes is what we started out with. And it was amazing. It was, this baby that, we created together. And it just sparked this love and passion for motivating people and pushing them past their own internal limits. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how that all kind of catapulted into where I am now. But, yeah, so we started Soul Beat, and, with owning a business, there's obviously so many highs and lows, and people, grow and they change, and they want to, embark on new opportunities as well. And so within 6 months to a year of our first year, both business partners decided to go their own separate ways. And so I bought them out, and I owned Soul Beat alone. So I just continued on my journey there and kept my focus and ran that business for 10 years.
Incredible. I think the biggest surprise that I just heard in all of that was that you were unsure if you could instruct classes. For the listeners, I've taken a Shoshana class, and she kicks the shit out of you, and also extremely motivating. So to hear that that was a hurdle for you, and getting past that is super surprising. But speaking of the hurdles and kind of common fitness myths that you see and hear just with your students and clients, what are some of the biggest ones that people deal with, and then how do you help them break through that?
So I think a lot of people are just easily intimidated by a lot of things fitness, right?
Totally.
Especially with pushing their body or trying a new format of exercise that they're not used to. And they think that they have to be perfect and they have to be stellar at it to even do it, right? And
Mm.
I've heard it countless times, not just with spinning, with, strength training, especially with strength training. People see lifting weights as, oh, like I'm not strong enough. Like, I can't do it. Or, I can't spin on that bike and like keep the rhythm or do what these people are doing on a bike. But the truth is like, if you don't start, you will never know what you're capable of, period. So it's like, if you let that fear and that insecurity of like, I'm not sure I can do it, stop you from moving your body, from, getting your body in better shape, then you won't have a healthy body. You won't have a healthy mind. You know what I mean? Like, you can't allow, that fear of like, can I do it? Can I not do it? Get in the way of that. You just got to try it and do the best you can. And I guarantee most of the time, you do better than you think you can. And then that propels you forward to be like, oh, all right, that wasn't so bad. I can do this
Totally.
again. And you know what? I'm going to get better at it. And then it motivates you, right? Like, motivation doesn't just come. It doesn't just like land in your lap. Like, when you're consistent, that's where motivation grows. You know what I mean?
1000% agree with you on that. And that goes both ways too. So I've noticed that when I get in a rut, or anybody gets in a rut, it's a compound effect of negative, like, oh, I just haven't been doing anything. But it's the same vice versa. If you get into the trend of just starting, like you were saying, it's a compound effect there, and it builds that momentum. And I think we're in such a age now of recognizing things that we can't see. Momentum is one of them. Even though we can't see it, it's real and it's there. And it's like, you just have to do and take action. And same thing with the weight side of things too. People think like you need to be doing a ton of weights. Like, I've been homebound the last 6 months, not being able to go to the gym. And it's like, I'm just doing 10, 15 pound weights just to keep my body active and my mind sharp while I can't do the crazy workouts that I was doing outside of the house. Speaking of just being busy parents, and I know you deal with a lot of them, especially a super mom like yourself.
Yeah.
I have tons of questions just on how you juggle your time there. But what is your advice for making fitness a non-negotiable for parents that have children and all their activities on top of trying to manage your own?
This is like an excellent question, because I feel like every parent, mom and dad, struggle with that. And I think too many times we're putting our life in front of our self-care, right? But what you fail to realize is, like, if you're not taking care of yourself and your body and your mind, you are no good for anybody that you love and care about. You're not. You're not a good parent for your children. You're not a good spouse for your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, like, or your friends. Like, you have to take care of yourself. And so what's a non-negotiable is me taking care of my body. And like, yes, I do this for a living, but since Soulbeat has unfortunately closed, I'm not teaching classes and getting that output as much as I did before. So now I have to be more mindful of, when is Shoshana going to get to work out? Because I'm training clients, I'm giving to everybody else. I'm giving to my kids, I'm giving to my husband, I'm giving to my new business movement, right? When do I get time? Because let me tell you something, if I don't get time, I'm stressed out, I'm irritable, I get insecure about my body, right? Because like I have an expectation of myself, and I want to be strong and I want to be fit. And what that does is, when you put that first, like, okay, listen, if I have to get up at 5 a.m. to do a 30-minute workout, then that's what I'm going to sacrifice and do, because it's important to me. And I think I have 5 boys now, and they watch me work out all the time. Like, we have weights in our basement. I have a bike in my basement. Just yesterday, I was downstairs. The boys are playing video games. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting on my bike and I'm going to throw on my playlist and I'm going to teach myself a class. And they watched me work out. You set an example for your children. And it's so important, because it becomes normal to them. Like,
Yeah.
oh, dad's going to the gym to take care of his body. When I come home and I was like, oh, hi, Dean, which is my baby, he's 3. And he goes, do you go to work? And I was like, yeah, I went to work. And he goes, to get big and strong. Like I'm setting this narrative into my children's brain of like, this is not a quick fix. This is a part of our life. So it's like not just good for me, but it's good for your kids to witness you taking care of your body, because guess what? When they get older, they will be encouraged to do the same thing because they've
It's
witnessed it.
ingrained.
It's
Yeah.
ingrained in their brain. And now I have 4 teenagers now, but like all of them work out.
Mm.
They're downstairs in the basement doing chest press. Reed 2 nights ago was doing abs in the living room. Like it's a part of their life now. It's amazing. We are a fitness family.
Right. It's ingrained at a young age, and it's all based on how you're mentally trained. Like you're
Right.
showing them, setting the example of what it's like and how to continue that in their lives. And it's just a part of it, just like brushing your teeth
Right.
or eating breakfast, whatever the case is. Exercise is part of that longevity to stay healthy. And to your point, making the time it's almost like you have to be selfish in that regard.
Yeah.
When you do so many things that are so unselfish for
Mm-hmm.
other people, it's like you got to serve yourself at some point too, and
You
make sure that
absolutely
you're
do.
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your cup has to be filled too, right? And I think too many times like we feel guilty for taking time for ourselves, and the word selfish, like you just said, comes into play, but I don't think it's selfish. I think it's called self-care. And you know what? Like I'm not being selfish. I'm taking care of myself so that I am the best version of myself for you, for my job, for my family. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Absolutely.
and I notice a difference if I don't get that, and it's not good.
Yeah. I want to shift to the entrepreneurial journey that you were talking about earlier, building the business. I know there's so many ups and downs, challenges, wins. What for entrepreneurs out there that are listening, what do you think are the biggest challenges or ones that stand out to you from the start of your entrepreneurial journey that you embarked on? And I ask this question because I think there's so many different walks of life of people that get into this side of entrepreneurship, where some start at a very young age with like a landscaping business,
Yeah.
or it could be someone that's a stay-at-home mom that ends up finding their passion and then starting a thriving business, not at that young age where it's just like, oh, you have to do it right out of high school or something like that. Just back to my question though, what were some of the biggest challenges or ones that you're still learning?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just starting a new business again.
Yeah.
And I'm relearning and also like trying to be patient with myself, even with movement. I think the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome when you're starting a business is, I'm always a big advocate of setting your expectations high, but you also have to be realistic. And, I think a lot of times we tend to become very impatient, with, my business is only this movement by show is only 2.5 months old, really. I, I think the expectation of like, oh, it's going to be like booming and super successful, like right away is not realistic, because it takes time and it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of hard work, and nothing like happens overnight. So I think, having goals and keeping your eyes focused on what you want to achieve, right? Manifesting that for yourself and saying like, okay, this is where I see my business in 6 months. This is where I see my business in a year, and doing whatever it takes to get there, but also not allowing, because there's highs and lows, right? So like
Yeah.
things could be going great, and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
not getting discouraged by that, taking it as it comes, not letting it, deter your mindset or your fierceness in what you want to achieve. That's like number one, because so many people get easily discouraged and a couple things go wrong and they're like, oh, guess this wasn't meant for me. I give up. You can't give up. You cannot give up. If you are passionate about it, if this is exactly where you're supposed to be, then you stop at nothing and you don't allow the lows to get you low enough to where you throw in the towel.
Your
That's the
fire
biggest
is
one.
incredible.
Thank you.
Like straight up. You could
Yeah.
feel it just right off the bat. It's crazy how so many things are synonymous with starting a business, but also fitness as well, like the highs and the lows of even having an injury and
Yes.
setting you back and not being able to exercise, whether it's a week, a month. And it's kind of the same thing with starting a business. Like you're going to get punched in the face.
Yep.
And I even tell this with my day-to-day job that I still have right now with my reps of like, expect to get punched in the face immediately. Like within the first 10 minutes of your day, you're going to get punched in the face. And if you're already setting those expectations for yourself, I wouldn't say you're setting yourself up for success, but at least you're setting yourself up for handling it in stride and not being discouraged when you do have a quote unquote loss. I think it's more of a learning lesson than anything than a loss. But yeah, totally with you. And I want to talk about movement, really just how Soulbeat kind of started the journey and what you grew that to, and now you're moving on with movement. How's it evolved from Soulbeat and what you've done there to what you're doing now?
My goal with Soulbeat was to kind of help people understand that exercise can be fun, but
Mm,
that they can also do more than they think that they can. Like I created Soulbeat because and I kept it going because of the impact that these fitness classes had on people, right? The
mm,
community, the positive motivation, the music, the workouts were effective, right? And so during my time at Soulbeat, I started personal training. And so I gained this large clientele of personal training clients. And
mm,
as, Soulbeat unfortunately had to come to a close, I knew that my next step would be to continue that. Because, the way that Soulbeat did rhythmic spinning is pretty much unlike anywhere else, right? So it's very specific and every studio has their own way of doing it. But the way that I did it at Soulbeat, like I knew that I couldn't just jump into another studio and do that somewhere else. Like it would have to be the exact right fit. And maybe one day I find that place and I hope so because I miss spinning so much. But I knew that my next step after Soulbeat would be personal training and doing maybe some strength based, which I call power move classes, which incorporates the whole body, right? We use some weights, we do core, we do some hip moves to get the heart rate up. I wanted to kind of, mirror what like the endorphin rush that spinning gave since I couldn't be on a bike. Like, well, let me see if I could create a format of exercise that kind of gives you that, like, you know, runner's high kind of, And so I always say like you have to keep moving your body. So that's like kind of where movement by Shoshana came into play in terms of the name, because movement is literally medicine. It is. When you're having a bad day, when you're in a bad mood, when you're down and out, you're not gonna be ready and like chipper to go work out every day. But I every single time you're in that mental headspace and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk, or you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym, or I'm gonna like, work out for a little bit, your mood changes. And so I wanted to,
immediately.
yeah. And that's, Soulbeat gave that to people. I wanted to continue that because the truth is, Soulbeat is me. So wherever it's me. So wherever I go is where Soulbeat will go to, right? So I'm going to take that same, delivery, that same impact that I gave people at Soulbeat, and I'm going to bring it to movement. And that's what I've done. And, it's a different way of reaching people, right? Personal training is way more intimate. It allows
Mm,
me to make sure people are doing things right finally,
yeah,
and safely. But I'm getting so much more reward from it because I'm able to kind of touch these people on a personal level. And it's really cool, like I'm finding out more about people. I'm learning how to cultivate workouts that are designed to really help them personally. And it's been really rewarding and I really love it.
that's awesome. I think a lot of people envy that you found movement after um, Soulbeat. When did you start kind of cultivating that in your head of like what was next? Because I think anytime something is coming to an end, a lot of people have that fear of like, what is next? Like, I think
Yeah.
athletes deal with this, like whether they're playing in high school, collegiately, or even professionally. What is the next chapter going to be like? And finding that deep passion that
Right.
they care about as much. When did you start kind of noticing that like shift or that crossover point?
I mean, the business had been struggling financially. So,
Mm,
and my landlord had, pretty much made it very clear, like, we're going to have to close this down sooner
mm,
than later. Right. So it wasn't like an abrupt end to where I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? I had a couple months to figure it out. And I knew that my personal training clients would follow me wherever I went. Right. Because, they love me. I love them. It's
mm,
effective. They are loyal to me. So when I knew that Soulbeat would have like an end date, I knew that personal training would be my next step because it made sense. I was already doing it. I don't have any overhead, right? Like
yeah,
I have the equipment that I have that I use to train my clients and I can take that with me. So I just needed a space to do that in. And then I
yeah.
found that space as like, the end date of Soulbeat came closer.
Mm,
And then I came up with the name. Here's the thing, Chuck. If I would have let Soulbeat close and I would have sat around and figured it out, that would have been the worst thing I could have ever done for myself. Like probably a lot of people
mm,
are like, oh, wow, like you're not going to mourn the closing of your business. No, I'm still mourning the closing of my business. I'm still very, very sad and heartbroken over it. I still drive by it and literally am in tears when I look at that blank space that used to be my home. I don't think I'm ever going to get over it. I don't. I look at videos and I cry still. Doesn't mean I don't love my new business. It was a part of my life for 10 years, but
right.
I'm a keep it moving type of girl. And that's what
Mm,
helps me mentally. It helps me physically. I have a family to provide for. There's no option to sit and sulk. And
yeah.
that's not how I'm built. Right. Like, okay, this is shitty and this happened. Well, I'm going to figure it out. And you figure it out. And even if like, I don't know what's around the corner, like this is just a starting point for me. I want something way bigger for myself. I want to touch thousands and thousands of people's lives. I don't know what that
Yeah.
looks like yet. I'm going to figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
You figure it out. You keep it moving.
Totally. I'm a very similar mentally when it comes to like keeping it moving. Like I have
I
to
see
keep it
that.
moving because when I stay still, I
Not
think
good.
stillness is only good if you're meditating. Like
I agree.
that's like the
I
only time
agree.
I actually want to stay still and just be present.
Yes.
But when it comes to coming up with creativity and curiosity and challenging myself, I need to be
Mhm.
constantly on the move, recovering from my thing. Like I
Yep.
needed to do something because it like just sitting here, I feel like I'm 95 years old right now and I'm
Yeah.
a fraction of that. All of us are. So it's like stay in that constant state of flow
Yeah.
and answers will come to you and I love what you say, you'll figure it out because we're in this day and age where I think there's so much paralysis by analysis where
Mm.
people are just overthinking things of like, oh, I gotta going back to our point of exercising. Oh, I have to have a certain amount of weights or I have to do this in order. Oh, I have to get up this early in order to exercise. Like just
Yeah.
do, just
They
get in go
overcomplicate it.
mode.
They
Yeah.
overcomplicate it. And you know what that is to me? Excuses.
Mm.
You don't need weights. Here's your weight. Your
Yep.
body. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't have any
Yeah.
time to work out. No, you don't have time not to work out.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
make time. You can
Yeah.
make time. Like I said, 5 a.m., 9 p.m. There's times when my husband goes to the gym and it's 9 o'clock at night and he's going to Planet Fitness because that's the
Mm.
only time in his day that he gets to work out.
But it's a non-negotiable and he makes it happen.
Non-negotiable. Yeah, he
Yeah.
has to. He has to
Yeah.
for his mental health. Like
Mm.
exercise isn't just about physicality. It's also about your mental health. It affects both.
That changed a monster perspective for me with exercising. I'd say it was probably 4 years ago at this point when I started getting into my 30s and I started looking at it like prior, like your 20s or even teens, you look at it from a of how you look. And I still think everybody has that piece, but it was also like I'm not as mentally sharp. I'm more irritable when I
Mm,
don't exercise, whether
mhm.
that's weights or just walking or running or cycle,
Anything.
whatever the case, anything. I don't sleep as well because I'm not exerting my body at something during the day and exhausting it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the list really goes on. Like
Yeah. And then you're not eating well.
I eat like shit when I don't exercise. It's like, oh man, I had like, as much as Katie loves exercising and everything, she loves her sweets too. And it's like, she is great at exercising and being able to have sweets where I'm like, uh, that, that looks really good. That cinnamon bun looks really good. And then I don't exercise. I'm like, God, got
And
me.
then it catches up to you, and then it's this spiral
Yeah.
spiral of a pattern of behavior where you're like, okay, it's been 3 days I didn't work out and I'm eating like shit. Well, then it's harder to start again.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk about motherhood with you too. I know we
Yeah.
touched on this. Me being a new father, newer father,
Newish.
newish. Ellie will be 2 in a couple of months, which is insane that it moves by that quick. Dean being 3,
Yeah.
with the 5 boys running a business. Like, dude, how do you manage your time?
I don't know. I feel like I never have any time. I feel like I'm always in fast forward. It's always like one thing to the next, constantly multitasking. But I'm trying to really work on being present when
Mm,
I'm able to be present. Like the last 2 nights at dinner, like normally, like, so dinner time, right? We put Dean to bed because eating dinner with him as a 3-year-old is just a nightmare. So when he's in bed, so we have later dinners at our house. Then it's, the 4 boys and Ron and I, and we're eating dinner. And normally, everybody, like, we're chatting. We do suck and sweet. Like, what was your suck? What was your sweet of the day? Like,
I
we
like
chit
that.
chat a little bit. But the last 2 nights, the boys have been like just hanging out at the table after dinner, and we're chatting. We're talking about the Eagles. And, like Ron last night looks at me and he goes, "This is so great." Like, so it's like little moments like that where, and they're teenagers, right? So like, they're in school, there's 2 of them are working, other
Mm,
one has sports. Like, so there's a lot of like, we're going here, we're going there. Like, it's very rare that we get to like sit down and just kind of like hang out, when we just like say, okay, we're going to have a movie night, and like, we just like all
mm,
watch a movie together. It's like those times that you really have to just like soak up because yeah, we're busy. We're busy. I work a lot, to try to provide for the family. Ron works a lot,
yeah.
and and the boys are moving here, there, and everywhere. So, the thing is like, how do you do it? You
Yeah.
just do it. You
Yeah.
figure it out, and you have to understand that like there's going to be days when you fall short. There's going to be days when you're not a stellar parent, you're not a stellar spouse, and you can't beat yourself up over it. You can't.
Mm,
And I always say, and this is like my favorite quote. Are you ready? You can do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to, but you can't do everything.
mm,
You're going to do everything. You're not going to be able to do it all. You know what I mean? So you know
yeah.
what? There was 4 loads of laundry, but I let it go because I was sitting around the table with my kids and enjoying a moment with them. And so you know what? I did it later on in the night and some this morning to make up for the
Yeah.
time that I would have rushed out of dinner and went upstairs and folded laundry. So, you know, what is your priority? Give
Right.
that
What
the
can wait?
what can wait.
Yeah.
And you know what? The laundry, the dishes, it can wait.
The things like that, I tend to always say like, yeah, they can wait. Not that they don't get done. They do. But those
Eventually, yeah.
moments with like what you said with Ron saying like this is so nice right now, those moments they mean even more when you're able to be present and enjoy it together as a family or anybody that
Yeah.
you're with
Yeah.
because we're such in go mode like what is next? What is
Right.
next? What is next? And we're programmed to go like that now, which there's so many positives with it because we get so much
Yes.
done, but there also is points of like, hey, in the blink of an eye, your kids are older,
Yeah.
we're getting older, the people
Yeah.
around, like time continues to move. So like if you can just stop it for a moment, dinner, which is what, 15 minutes to a half hour, that like really has such a trickle effect and a ripple effect to other things that you then do and makes you feel better and that you spent that time with people that you care about the most. Um, do you have any systems, routines that you've built in to juggle everything? I know just with the business and the family, boys going to school, anything of like that.
Yeah, I got this guy that lives with me. He's a really great teammate. His name is Ron, and we just tag
Yeah.
team the shit out of things.
Well,
Like he'll take the boys to school, he'll drop them off at the bus stop, like I'll
yeah,
stay and watch Dean, or it's literally it's a team effort. So no, there's no like system really. It's just all about
yeah.
team. It's all about teamwork with your spouse. I make, I'm boy, last night I was like, boys, you got to come up here and help me fold laundry. You know,
Mm.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and it does. And we got it done a lot faster. But there's no like, there's no booklet or pamphlet or system or program that I follow. It's just like, okay, I know it has to get done. I'll try
Excellent.
not to stress out about it. Okay, you have to be here at this time. I have to be here at this time. Let's make it work. And so that's what Ron and I do. And we just like, oh, I use the Apple calendar. Like it's like I put my entire life on that calendar,
Mm.
everything.
Yeah.
So I don't forget. That's probably the biggest thing that I do is
Yeah.
like anything, the stupidest things. Cole has to work, it's on the calendar.
Mm.
I have a client, it's on the calendar, and we have a shared calendar. So Ron and I both share a calendar, so we know exactly what's going on with our family at all times. So we just look at the calendar 45 times a day.
How old are the oldest boys now?
They will be 18 in April, and they are going to college in the fall.
What a time.
I'm so sad.
Where are they going?
Westchester. That's where
Nice.
their dad
Great
went.
school. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And it's close. And it's close. And I can like drop in and,
Yeah.
say hi. And they can come home if they want on the weekend. So we'll see what happens.
I almost went to Westchester. I went to Cabrini, but
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, I had my classes signed up, everything at
Really?
Westchester. Yeah. And then a couple people that I went to high school with were there because I did Monca for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I was going to transfer. They were calling my name in the class. They're like, Chuck Honors, Chuck Honors. And the people that I went to high school with were like, sure. Well, yeah. Well, they were saying Charles Connors.
Yeah.
And then I was like, nah, I ended up deciding I'm going to Cabrini, but like I was like on like the cusp of going there. Great school though.
Oh,
They're gonna
great
love it.
school.
And I'm curious, just do you think that they are heading to school with some great fundamentals that you and Ron have taught them through the years? You think they'll take the exercising approach and everything
Oh,
when they
yeah.
go to school? Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, and it's not just Ron and I. They have like an amazing dad and stepmom as well. So the four of us collectively, I mean, Dave, my ex-husband, and I primarily obviously have raised these kids.
Yeah.
Ron and Kristen came in the later stages of their life, but collectively they have like a really great support system. And I think we've taught our boys to always put academics first.
Mm.
So those four, like my four boys, are stellar academically, and they focus
Nice.
on their school. They focus on their schoolwork. I think we've really instilled the desire to be a leader, not a follower. I think I've like drilled that into their head, especially with their peers. Smoking, drinking, sexing. The list goes on and on. And luckily, so far, they've stayed away from that. And I think they understand the consequences that come with all of those things.
I don't know where we were at with things, but
Like the boys going to school and like will they take the fundamentals with them? And
yes.
I was saying that they're very focused on school. And I mean, listen, but between like their dad and their stepmom and Ron and I think we've set up the twins as best as we possibly can
Mm.
for, going into an unmarked territory. And like the truth is like, I hope and pray that, they make the right decisions, and they're going to make mistakes, and
Yeah.
we're going to love them through that. And there's many lessons still to be learned.
Mm.
I'm more concerned with like, are they going to like do their laundry and clean up after themselves? I mean, like, I don't think I've domesticated them enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to really work on that this summer. But, I just, my plan is to just continue to be a support system for them, and make sure that they understand that they can come to us no matter what, no matter
Yeah.
what it is. And we're never going to leave their side, even if we don't agree necessarily with the things that they've said or done.
Totally. I've been fortunate enough to follow your social channels and just see what you guys put out there, because everybody doesn't put their entire lives on social, but
No.
what you guys do put out there, just the time that you guys spend. And something that stuck with me from a very young age is you're the closest, or you act, or you're like the five closest people to you. And
Mm.
I think that's super powerful, especially with a tight knit family. Myself with my siblings, like, we stayed very, very close through the years, and it just led to good practices as far as how we conduct ourselves and carry ourselves in public. But it was also from our parents of
Yeah.
setting the standard of what it's like to be responsible, also have a good time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a goofball, but
Yeah.
at the same point, it's like, if you run into so and so's parents, or you see this
Right.
person or that, like, how do you want to be looked at? Like,
Right.
how are they going to then share that story to, oh, I saw Shoshana's boys, and they carry themselves in such a great way and professional, and
Yeah.
they're so well mannered, things like that. Like, and I think that just, it's a trickle effect of who you're surrounded with and how you act. We were talking about this earlier, is the discipline and motivation. My personal opinion, I think motivation's cheap. Like, it only lasts for a little bit. I think
Mhm.
discipline is really what makes somebody thrive, and making sure that you're constantly doing the same things over and over and over again, that consistency part of things.
Yeah.
Um, is there a go-to strategy for you when you do fall off the horse, or let's just say you do get sick, or you have an injury or something like that, to
Yeah.
get you back in the swing of things? Is there like a reset button that you go to?
Yeah. You know what it is? I remember how I felt when I was consistent, when I was
Mm,
disciplined. I focus on that. I focus on the way that I felt when I was like at my best.
yeah.
Not about necessarily about the way that I looked, the way that I felt about myself, the
Mm,
way that I lived my life when I was doing those things, right? And even now, if I like go to work out and I'm tired or my body's sore and I don't feel like it, I focus on how good I'm going to feel after,
after, yeah, yeah,
versus if I don't do it or if I don't start again, how I don't want to continue to feel this way, which is
yeah,
not good.
right.
Right. So I focus on the way I feel after every time I work out. Right. I feel
Mm,
great. I'm so proud that I did it. Even if it was a mediocre workout, even if I only gave like 60%, it's still better than nothing.
right.
I still did what was right for my mind and my body. So that's what I focus on, even to this day, even when I don't feel like it, even when I'm tired. I focus on how I felt when I was like consistent and disciplined.
Yeah. It's
And
your,
that becomes the motivation. It's like, I want to feel that again. So I'm going to do
right.
this. Even though I don't want to,
Hmm.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And 10 out of 10 times, you get that feeling back.
Have you ever seen that picture? It's like, it's these little circles everywhere, and it has water in each circle, and it's like saying 30%, 100%, 40%, and it just keeps going through all these percentages, and it just says, like, give whatever you have in that tank that
Mm.
day, and just keep going forward, because some days you're at your 100%
Yeah.
and you give that, but other
Mhm.
days you might only have 30, or you might only have 10, but at least give that, because you're knowing that you're, like, at least pushing forward regardless of whether it's peak performance or not.
So
And
true.
I think that's that picture. If I could find it, I'll send it. Speaking of just advice, what's one piece of advice that you received that really stuck with you, whether it was recent or in the past?
I guess the first thing that comes to my mind, and it just was recently, and I don't know why it stuck with me. And I don't necessarily suffer from anxiety,
Mm,
but sometimes I feel anxious. I feel anxious about the future. I worry about my kids. I worry about my business. I worry about finances.
mm,
and it said, anxiety is not intuition.
Mm.
So, we like stress and we worry and about a lot of things in our life. That doesn't mean that that's going to come to fruition. That doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. Right.
Right.
And like, I think a lot of times when we're in our heads and we're like, like, is my business going to make it? Is it going to be successful, or are my kids going to stay healthy? Like, and like, I have to fly. I'm flying soon. We're going on vacation and I'm like worried about flying. And it's like, okay, just because you're anxious about it doesn't mean that you have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like gave me a little bit of like peace and understanding of like, okay, everybody worries about things, but you can't like focus on things you can't control. You have to focus on the things that you can control.
Yeah. Wrapping up here.
Yeah.
We got 2025. It's a bomb year. We're still early in on it. What's
Yeah.
the year look like for you, and what are you really excited about? And I know movement is a big part of that. Anything else on the horizon?
So nothing like aside from what I'm currently doing is on the horizon, but I'm just keeping myself open to new opportunities, to, I've been praying about it a lot of like, whatever is out there for me, let me receive it. Let me receive it, because I feel like this is my time. I'm finally like, I'm not a business, like brick and mortar business owner. Like I have the flexibility to start a new opportunity or embark on something new. And I hope it's greater and better than I could have ever imagined. But for right now, training a lot of clients, meeting new people, hoping to expand movement and reach more people and get more people in to train with me, to work out with me. And that way I can make a difference on more people's lives, because ultimately that's all I care about doing.
Love it. Last question for you. What does 1% better mean to you?
Oh, I like this question. 1%. So that's a great question. I think a lot. So I will say this. I think a lot of people are like 0 to 100 type of people. Like, okay, it's and I am in many ways. I'm either all the way in or all the way out in many things in my life. However, 1% better to me means that like every day, even if it's 1%, you're moving forward. You're making progress, right? I say all the time, like progress over perfection. It doesn't have to be pretty. It could be messy. It could be a complete shit show. But if you are continuing to just move forward, even in the smallest step, it's still a victory. You're still making progress. So 1% better. And I love that, because like, that's how I live my life too, is, you know what? I want to be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. Even if it's just 1%, it still matters. It still counts. Stop looking at it like, oh, if I'm not like 100% better, doesn't count. That's bullshit. 1% counts.
One of my favorite quotes, I think it came from Pharrell: focus on the work and squint at success. And every so often, look over your shoulder to see how far you've come.
I love that.
Because you don't realize how much you do, like just
You
chipping
don't.
away day to day. And you're like, oh,
Little
shit.
by little.
Yeah.
Little by little. And everybody wants, the instant button. Everybody wants the easy button, but that's just not how life works. And to be honest with you, I'd rather get 1% better every single day and earn it and be able to look back and be like, wow, I did that. I came from that. I did it. It might have taken a long time, but I got there, right? It's about the journey. It's about the journey and how much you learn and grow during that process. And it's a beautiful thing. It is.
Love it. Shoshana, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I love this so much. Would love to have you back in the future again. Get some
love
updates on movement. And hopefully we could do the next one in person. That'll be fun.
Yeah, can we? I would love that.
Absolutely. I will include all your links here for everybody to follow Shoshana and her journey as well. But yeah, thank you again. And for everybody listening, thanks for listening to 1% Better. And we'll talk again soon. Take care, everyone.